All right, well, let's get started. I hit record. I'm always nervous I'm going to forget now that I don't teach on Zoom as much. Um, People that are going to be doing this recording later, have your mat up to a wall. We're going to use the wall pretty consistently. And make sure you have usual props, blanket, couple of blocks, and a strap. So we're going to start with our legs up the wall. I'll let you decide if you like to have a little blanket bolster underneath your pelvis. I sometimes like it and sometimes I don't. I don't know, just kind of depends. But I think most of you know how to set it up. You just put the blanket a few inches away from the wall. The best way to get in is to start on your side, get your butt to the wall, and then just roll up. And so that way, if you do have a blanket, it's kind of under your pelvis and your low back, but your butt actually bumps up to the wall. And make sure you've got a strap within reach. And then once you arrive here, it'll take some time. So relax your legs as much as you can. Pick a shape for the arms that feels comfortable. So it can just be, hands on belly, arms overhead, arms to the sides. Something where you can really kind of drop in and settle here. And if you haven't already, close the eyes. And come to your breath. As much as you're able here, just try to feel that sort of settled, grounded energy, or create that if you're lacking as you breathe here. Noticing your connection points, so back body, back lungs, back pelvis connected to the floor, and the legs are connected to a wall. Spend a few more moments here with the breath in stillness. Last few moments here. So reach for your strap that's hopefully nearby. You can just make a small-ish loop. And you're going to keep your left leg up the wall, so a little different variation with this. And just hook your loop around your right foot, like Supta P1, and you'll pull the right leg off the wall a little bit. Now, the degree, or how much you pulled off the wall is kind of up to the hamstring. I like to play around with what's it like if my right sit bone's still sort of touching the wall? What's it like if I kind of let it go away? So ideally you keep left leg on the wall, right sit bone on the wall, and you pull that right leg away any amount. It might not be much. And you can make that loop as big as you need to just hook those four right fingers, right hand in the loop. And just take some deep breaths here. Some of you with more open hamstrings, obviously you're gonna have to kind of pull the leg a little bit more towards you to feel the stretch you desire. And just take some breaths here. And keep your right hand hooked in the loop and just open your right leg out to the side. Now, it's ideal if you can kind of bend your elbow and get it to the floor, because you're going to feel a little bit lopsided potentially with that left leg still up the wall. So try to even out in the hips. It might not be perfect, that's fine, but really sharpen that right leg out to the side and continue to steer your belly to the left a bit. And take some big breaths here. Last few breaths. Slowly bring your right leg back up. Keep it off the wall. Switch your hand. The left hand can come in. Right leg stays off the wall. And then, and like we do normally, just cross right leg a little to the left. So your right thigh will essentially kind of cross over the left or towards the left. And again, you might still reach that right sit bone towards the wall. Try to sharpen up that right leg and breathe here. Last couple breaths. And then keep that right leg sort of crisscrossed over. And you can start to pull with your left arm, like you're trying to bend your right leg. You can start to bend your right leg like a pigeon shape or a figure four. And then you can slide your left foot down the wall a little bit, so you're actually able to cross your right ankle over the left leg. Now, if you're tighter in the hips, you could always slide that left leg up a little bit, maybe like a half bend. But some of you, your hips are going to come off the wall a little bit, okay, but some of you might want to bend that left leg more like 90 degrees. Again, the closer that right leg is towards your chest, it's probably going to be a more intense stretch. So decide what you want, what you need, and just breathe into this figure four hip stretch. You don't even need to use your arms. You just rest them out to the side. And tap back into breath. Potentially, checking in, noticing, as opposed we do often, right? Figure four, but different, changes it a bit when the hands aren't involved, the arms aren't involved, and you've got your foot on a wall. So, just kind of be tuned into how this variation works, or maybe doesn't work, and how it feels. Spend a few more moments here. Take a couple more breaths. You can use your arms, take your right leg off, slide both legs up. You might have to scoot in a little bit if you kind of lost connection to the wall, and just take a moment here, legs straight, soften, and just take a few breaths in the middle. in the center. All right, grab that strap again. Got your loop ready to roll. This time you'll loop it around your left foot, left hand in the loop as well. Bring your left leg off the wall. Maybe keeping left sit bone connected. And just give this left leg some time here to be in the shape. So back to breath you go. Spread your left toes up there. Really stretch up through left heel. Right leg can be either way, more passive. You could also activate that ankle, foot, and leg. I think just decide. Take a few more breaths here. Keep that strap loop left hand in there, and then open your left leg out to the side. Right leg will just stay up the wall. Really stretch through your inner left heel, inner left leg. And breathe. Breathe fully. Breathe deeply. Last few breaths here. All right, bring your left leg back. Switch your hands, right hand in the loop. Cross that left leg to the right, just a bit past the midline is usually good. So your thighs will crisscross slightly or maybe more. Big breaths here. Steer the belly a bit to the left and breathe. And then using your right arm, you can start to bend your right elbow, pull on that strap loop as you bend your left leg towards pigeon. So you're just kind of sort of slowly inching your way in there. And then once you kind of get that left leg to resemble something like a supine pigeon, then you can slide right foot down the wall any amount so you can hook that left ankle over the right thigh. You can lose the strap. Again, bend your right leg to your comfort. So it doesn't have to be fully bent. You can slide that foot up the wall any amount. And then breathe here. Big left hip stretch. Arms can relax. Check into breath. Stay here for a few more moments. Last 2 breaths here. All right, go ahead and release. Slide both legs back up the wall. Once again, scoot the hips back into the wall if they kind of lost connection, legs back to wall, and just pause here in the middle. Back to steady breath, normal breath. From here, bring the bottoms of your feet together. Let your knees slide wide, Baddha Konasana. You can grab onto the ankles if you'd like and kind of help guide those heels down. Again, you're not really trying to force per se, just guiding. Some people do like to kind of keep their hands to brace kind of the thighs or the inner knees. Again, I don't really want to emphasize you're trying to push your legs to the wall. It's more of a support, but you might also choose to just release your arms some comfortable shape. So breathe here, getting into the hips a bit more. Again, checking in with, the experience of a seated Baddha Konasana compared to something like this with the legs up the wall. Return to breath. Finding some softening in this, right? There's of course some effort needed to get your legs in the shape, but legs up the wall generally is meant to be a bit more of a restorative pose. And so even though we're making these sort of different shapes with our legs that are a bit more intense, maybe you can keep some of that kind of legs up the wall vibe. Just a few more moments here. We're gonna be done with legs up the wall in a bit. Utilize the wall in other ways, but stay with me. And then you can slowly draw those knees together, almost like you're in a little squat. And this time, if you have the room, stretch your legs out, Upavishta style. Now, I guess I don't know everyone's setup. You might be on like a small wall. And if that's the case, you could stay in Baddha Konasana. Again, if you like hands to kind of help, I don't know, I'm not interested in like how far my legs can necessarily go, but if it feels okay, arms can relax. Otherwise, you can kind of help brace or support your legs a little bit. Just a few moments here. So really getting that space in the inner legs, still hamstring stretch to some degree. Nice spacious feeling in the belly, in the pelvic floor, getting room there. So back to the breath you go. And from here, you can reach behind the knees, gently bend them. Come back towards that bent knee squat, but this time bring your feet maybe hip distance or outer hip width. So it's like a wide squat. You can see I'm holding the fronts of my shins so that I can kind of help move those heels down. Turn your toes out a little bit potentially. So those knees are sort of right over the center of the feet. Like a wide malasana squat, option to keep hands on shins for support, option to release the arms. Breathe here, last few moments with the legs up the wall, wide malasana squat. Take a few more breaths. right, bring your feet off the wall, draw your knees into your chest, and then roll to one side. So you can kind of roll out of your setup. And if you had a blanket underneath you, move that out of the way. Move your strap out of the way, kind of clear your mat. And we're going to stay close to the wall here. So when you're ready, downward facing dog with your heels like an inch or two off the floor on the wall. Not too high, not like broken toe high. And then you can walk those arms forward. And, take a little time to warm up. First down dog. So if you need to spend some time on hands and knees, setting your hands up, that's great. Just do a little warm up here. Then once you've moved around a bit, stay in down dog with more stillness, few breaths. So really push the floor away with your hand. Spin those inner upper arms outwards. Lift your knees, lift your belly from your thighs. Really press those heels into the wall. And the next time you inhale, shift to plank. Your heels will come off the wall. Push the floor away, lift your belly, pull your front ribs in. From here, lower the knees. Heels are probably off the wall. That's fine. Shift forward and slowly lower to your belly. Nice slow lower. You might not have room to untuck your toes. We might be close. Otherwise, keep them tucked. Squeeze shoulder blades together behind you. Inhale, lift up cobra. Use back muscles, glute muscles, not so much the hands and arms. Exhale, lower back down. If your toes are untucked, tuck them. Press back downward facing dog, heels come back to the wall. Great. From here, look forward between your thumbs. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. See if you can keep that back heel on the wall. Come up to the fingertips and pause here, lunge. So really try to square up the hip. So drag that right hip back slightly as you slide the left hip forward. Firm that back left leg and really press and dig that left heel into the wall. Take another breath. And when you're ready, quietly step back, down dog, heel to wall. Side two, inhale, look between thumbs. Exhale, step left foot between the hands. Again, right heel stays at the wall. Bend into that left knee, come up to the fingertips. And here, drag left hip back. Slide right hip forward. Draw the belly a little bit back toward the front of the spine and breathe. Really firm back right leg. And press your right heel into the wall. Step back, downward dog. Once again, inhale, shift plank pose. Hold plank pose. Push the floor away, plank pose. Lift your belly and pull your front ribs in. Really squeeze your legs and try to just gaze on the floor in front of your fingertips so your head's in line with spine. Soft jaw. Keep the belly lifted, last moment. And then lower the knees. Shift your shoulders way forward, lower to your belly. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down you come and press back down dog, heels come back to the wall. So this time when you look forward, step your right foot forward, maybe just not quite as far forward. Maybe take a little bit shorter step. And then grab your two blocks, put them under your hands. I've got second side blocks. Probably a good place to start. You can always lower or make them higher. And then shift your weight into that right foot a bit so that you can bring your left foot up the wall about as high as your hip. So it's kind of like a lunge with your leg up the wall. Still bend into that right knee and make your left leg straight. Good. Pull your right hip back. Pull left hip forward. So it's literally the same pose we just did, except now your back leg's up the wall. And try to lengthen through the spine. Reach through the crown of your head. Back leg is strong. Take another breath. And then gently lower left foot, heels back to the wall. Move your blocks. Step back, down dog, heel to wall. The wall's our friend. It's wall yoga day, baby. Inhale, look forward, side two, step your left foot forward, maybe not quite to the thumbs, maybe right behind the thumbs. Hands back to blocks. Come up a little bit, lengthen through your spine, and then you've got to shift some weight into left foot and tap that right foot up the wall, about hip height-ish, maybe a little higher. Pull left hip back, right hip forward. Lift your belly. Firm that back leg. You got to squeeze your quads, squeeze your glutes, and press your whole right foot into the wall. Keep left knee bent. Super. Lower the right leg. Heel slides back to the wall. And then when you're ready, step back, down dog, heels at the wall. Pause here. Breathe here. You can always rest if you need to. Otherwise, dog cycle if you want. Shift forward plank. Option to lower the knees. Otherwise, shift shoulders a bit forward, lower to your belly. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, lower. Tuck your toes, down dog. So come onto your knees for a second so I can show this setup. All right, so it's gonna look the same to start. We'll be with our heels at the wall. You'll step forward. You've got your blocks, and we'll do this little lunge thing. So this part's the same, but then you're gonna ditch one of your blocks, flip your other block tall, and make sure it's in line with your right pinky toe. So that then I'm gonna keep this right leg bent. You can start to turn open towards Ardha Chandrasana, and then eventually you'll straighten the leg. Yeah, so we get Ardha Chandrasana, then you bend that knee, and you've got to slowly come back to your lunge. Here we are, and then down dog. Yeah. All right, let's do it. It's officially time to lose the sweatshirt. So down dog, heels at the wall. I'll talk you through it. It's a different way to get into Ardha Chandrasana. All right, and if you were in my Hatha class, I think it was last Wednesday, I like workshopped the hell out of Ardha Chandrasana. So if you were there, we know this pose. Look forward, step your right foot forward. Remember, a little bit shorter stance. Grab your blocks. Lengthen your spine. Shift weight into your right foot. Bring your left foot up the wall. So come to this lunge first. Don't jump ahead. You can ditch your left hand block. Flip your right hand block tall and put it, I don't know, good 6, 10, 12 inches away from your right pinky. Right hand on it. Left hand on left hip. And then keep the right knee bent. Start to turn your left toes to the left and open your belly to the left. So you're trying to stack your left hip on your right hip. Look at your right knee. It's still bent. Push it out to the right. And then straighten your right leg. Hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked. If you feel solid, stretch your top arm up. If you don't feel solid, don't stretch your top arm up. Good, left hand to hip, just hit the rewind button. Look down, bend your knee. Turn left toes down, square your hips. Grab both blocks, bend your knee, lunge up the wall, and then you can move the blocks, lower the left foot. Step back, down dog, heels to the wall. Well done. Pause here, breathe. Look forward and step your left foot. Grab your 2 blocks again. Put your hands on it. Shift weight into your left foot. Bring your right leg up about hip height. So you're in this lunge up the wall. You can ditch your right hand block. Move your left block tall. Move it in line with your left pinky toe. Left hand to it. And then right hand to hip. Keep your left knee bent. Start to turn to the right. Right toes turn to the right. Stack right hip on left hip. Stack right shoulder on left shoulder. Look at your left knee, press it out to the left, and then straighten left leg. Ardha Chandrasana, option to stretch your top arm up. Option to not stretch your top arm up. Take a couple breaths. Good, hand to hip, look down, bend your knee. Turn those right toes down, square the hips. Bend your left knee, both blocks, hands on blocks rather. Lunge up the wall, and then you can lower the right leg. Move your blocks, step back down. When you're ready, plank pose. Pause in plank pose. Lift the belly, push the floor away, plank pose. Squeeze your legs. And press into the pads of all 10 fingers. Lower the knees. Or not. Shift forward, lower to the belly. Back bend cobra when you're ready. Downward facing dog, heels to wall. And you can lower the knees from here. So staying at the wall. We're gonna do set up for a scat trap. Now here's the rub. So the legs will be straight, but it's gonna take you a minute to measure because I want us to be able to stretch our arms overhead and get your fingertips to the wall. So you can kind of measure. Somehow I have perfectly done it. That never happens. But you'll do flat block under shoulder blades, second block under head, and then when I tell you, you'll stretch your arms overhead, fingertips to wall like so. Yeah, so it's worth monkeying around a little bit to get the setup just right. Yep. So flat block under shoulder blades, you can kind of measure there and see if you need to scoot closer or not. Really kind of tuck, and once you get the right distance, then you're good. Then you can put the second side block under your head. And for now, just kind of let your arms relax out to the sides. Legs can be more passive. Just take a few moments here into the chest opening a bit for a few breaths, and then we'll crank up the volume a bit. So just let the breath settle here. So stay in your scat trap. Bring your legs together. If you can't bring your legs together, hip width is fine. Big toes touch, spread your toes, peel your toes towards you and make your legs firm. So you're not trying to pop the heels off the floor, straighten your legs. You keep heels on the floor, pull your kneecaps up, firm your thigh muscles, and then stretch your fingers up toward the ceiling, palms face each other. And then on your next inhale, stretch your arms overhead, spin your palms up toward the ceiling, and you can bring fingertips to the wall. And you might have to tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, like you were pushing the wall away with your fingers, with your finger pads. And then squeeze your legs, stretch out through your inner heels, pull your front ribs in, and pull your belly down toward the front of your spine. So there's kind of less of a back bend happening in the low back, and we're trying to keep some of it more isolated to what's happening in the upper back, upper mid back. Squeeze your arms and push the wall away so that you're really tightening up triceps. Yeah, squeezing arms to make elbows straight. Last few moments here. Release your arms. Bend your knees. You can roll to the side or just set yourself up. Set your blocks just off to the side for now. You can come up to standing. And you'll measure about an arm's distance from the wall, but this time your palms will come all the way to the wall. Yeah. And then walk your feet back, and you'll have to walk your hands down so you're more hip height with your hands. And like you would set up on the floor, spread your fingers, turn your hands out, and then walk your feet back just under the hips, maybe slightly behind, but not much. You're making an L shape. And then bend your elbows for a second. And like you were trying to push your own wall over, push the wall away, straighten your arms, and reach your butt towards the opposite wall behind you. Bend your knees a little bit. Bend your knees a little bit. Stick your butt out behind you. Push the wall away. Squeeze your triceps like we just did. And then lift your belly. Pull your front ribs in. And try to re-straighten your legs. If that starts to really round your back, keep your knees a little bit bent. So I want you to keep spine long, belly lifted, and then legs as straight as you can, and keep all those things intact. Breathe here. Wall dog. Level wall dog. Last 2 breaths. Bend your knees. Push off the wall. Stand up slowly. Pause. Tadasana. Check into your breath. So grab your 2 blocks, but stay facing the wall and measure this time legs distance from the wall, which is about the same. Maybe some of us might have longer legs than arms. I have very long arms and not that long of legs, so mine are about the same. But from there, then turn around and bring your big toes together. Soften your knees, hinge forward, put your tall blocks under your shoulders, kind of like you're doing an Ardha Uttanasana. Shift weight into that right foot. Right knee can stay bent for now. Bring your left leg up the wall. You might have to adjust. It's like no matter how much I measure, I still have to adjust. And then from here, keep right knee bent, left leg straight. Try to square those hips. So like we did in our lunge up the wall, but now lift your belly, push the blocks into the floor, straighten your right leg, warrior 3 variation. Lift your belly, pull your front ribs in, reach through the crown of your head. The trick of this is big stretch in the right hamstring. So right leg is strong, but to keep that back leg strong, you got to squeeze your buttons, squeeze your left leg, and try to drill a hole in your wall with your left heel. 1 more breath. Soften right knee, bring your left foot down. Put your left foot next to the right. Spread your left toes. Now keep left knee bent. Bring your right leg up. Side 2. Left leg starts soft. Just like take the hamstrings out of it for now. And pull left hip back. Slide your right hip forward. Squeeze that right leg. Squeeze your right glutes. And then straighten left leg. And try to lift the belly so it's not a big back bend back there. Actually, nice long spine. And then reach through the crown of the head. Press that right heel into the wall. Pull both kneecaps up and firm your thighs. Super. Soften left knee. Take your right foot off the wall. Stand up slowly. Tadasana. Pause. Give the wrists a little break. Give the legs a break. Just settle here. Breathe. Standing. Tadasana. Turn around to face the wall. Wall dog again. So hands about hip height. Spread your fingers. Turn your hands out. Back your feet up. And then push the wall away. I like to start with bent knees. Kind of get arms nice and straight, belly lifted, and then you can re-straighten the legs. You've got a good view of your knees. Lift them up. Make your quadriceps firm. Make them strong. Last 2 breaths. From here, bend your knees, release the wall, but come to the floor like Uttanasana. Bend your knees, step onto the palms of your hands if you can. I think one of my AirPods just died, so do what we can. Poke your elbows to the sides and pull in. So you're really trying to press the toe pads into your wrists. Give your wrists a little break. Breathe here. My knees are still bent. I'm not caring as much about the hamstring stretch as the wrist release, but do you? Last couple of breaths. All right, come off your hands. Soften knees, slowly roll up. Back to Tadasana. Pause here. All right, you can move your blocks off your mat. Come onto your knees with your feet on the wall. Yeah, so I've got my whole foot on the wall. Toes are tucked, knees, and then you come to all fours. Now, I would walk the hands just a bit forward, not a lot, maybe like hands distance forward. Spread your fingers, turn your hands out. That same action that we did in plank and that we did in wall dog. So push the floor away and then lift your knees and come to a short dog. We've been doing down dogs at the wall all day, but shorter. And then next up is half handstand. So walk your right foot up the wall, walk your left foot just as high as your hips, and then straighten your legs, keep your arms straight. You make that same 90-degree shape that we did in wall dog several times. Push the floor away. Just like warrior 3, push your feet into the wall and squeeze your legs. Last moments here if you can. Soften the knees, try to come down gracefully. And if you can, sit on your heels. If you can't sit on your heels, sit on blocks between your feet and pause. So literally just this morning, an hour ago, Gabe and I were having a conversation about handstand and how it's a hard pose and that it's still good to practice hard poses even if we can't always do them or get as far in them as we'd like. It's it's not a reason to just be like, well, take handstand out of the picture, we're never going to do it again. But like maybe 2024 is the year we're going to get closer. And since we've been really familiar with the wall all morning, I'm going to give you a couple of options. First option would be to just do half handstand again. That's a really good option. If half handstand is really hard for you, then half handstand's kind of the prerequisite. You could also do half handstand and start to work one leg away. It's not this, it's like warrior 3 legs. And you could switch, or some of you might be ready to turn around and actually start to kick up. You actually are just creating warrior 3 legs when you kick up. Yeah. So you decide, play around for a minute or two. Yeah, my AirPods are dead, so I'm gonna have to talk really loud. You guys can hear me, yeah? Okay. Luckily, I don't have a quiet voice. So half handstand variations, or kick up handstand for the next minute or two. And I know Gabe was teaching handstand this past week. So if you've been at her classes, then you've got all sorts of other tips and tricks to work with. Yeah. And I think if you're kicking up, there's sort of stages to that. The first step is just like kick up so you can get up. But then once you're competent kind of getting up there, then it's like you might start playing with not using the wall as much. So play for another few breaths, come down, rest, go back up another time.
whenever you're done, don't let me rush you. Just have a seat on heels or seat on block and just let the breath settle down. But again, stay with it another few moments. Let the breath settle here. A few more moments to let things settle down. So we're gonna go back, legs up the wall. We won't be here for quite as long, but you can decide if you want that blanket under the hips or not. And let's have your strap nearby. So once again, bump your hips up to the wall and up you go. And just relax your legs a little bit here. Just take a few moments to kind of get reacquainted with the shape. Lots of inversions, right? Legs at the wall and inversions, much less intense one than the handstand. But this time, slide your legs together and just slide your feet down the wall so you're in this kind of legs together squat business. And then stretch your arms out to the sides, T-shaped style. And then walk your feet over to the left. So you're gonna walk to the left and then all the way down to the floor, feet stay on the wall. If you can, your butt might come off the wall. So just a twist here. So left arm can hold that outer right leg. And then you can kind of turn that belly a little more to the right. Start to breathe. If it's like way too much, you need to back away from the wall, it's fine, right? Take care of yourself. Deep twisting isn't necessarily in the cards for everyone at all times. Breaths here, a few more breaths. Good stretch, left arm out again. Walk your feet back to center. You might have to scoot your butt back to the wall so you're in this little squat again. And then when you're ready, side two, walk your feet to the right. This time your right hand rather will hold the outer left leg. Turn that belly to the left. Hips will probably come off the walls just fine. Breathe here. Soften and settle. A few more breaths. Slowly release. walk your legs back up. And then you can slide the legs straight. So I'm gonna give you a few options for your kind of final Shavasana rest. You can start to set up. You could be like, I'm done with the wall and just get away and do regular Shavasana. That's fine. You could stay with your legs up the wall and just grab your strap and make the loop big enough that you could hook it around your feet, outer feet. I like to go wider than hips personally. Then you've just got something kind of holding your legs in place. That's great. You could also come out of legs up the wall. And we're still gonna use the wall. I like to do this sort of block, flat block under pelvis. Feet wide against the wall, straighten the legs. It's like a very mini bridge. I don't even know if I would call it a back, but it's barely one. Yeah, and you could strap your thighs or just not, and then arms can just kind of relax overhead or feel cool. So either way, using the wall in those last two options, or decide you're done with the wall and just scoot away and do a regular sort of old school Shavasana that we know and love. Yeah, so once you're set up, whatever you decided, soften, close your eyes, and drop it. So from where you are, just begin to deepen your breath. So depending how you decided to end your practice, just take your time to kind of unpack that and start to move towards an exit strategy, but move slowly. Don't be in a hurry. What's the hurry anyway? But eventually, whichever option you went with, you'll end up kind of rolled over to one side. And then from there, you can slowly make your way up and grab a comfortable seat. So whatever that looks like for you, hips propped up on something, sitting up nice and tall. Eyes can stay closed. Rest your hands on your thighs. Soften the jaw, soften the face, soften the eyes. And come back to your breath. And as you check in with breath, just notice how the practice landed. Our wall practice, our upside down practice, kind of see how it landed physically. Of course, it's usually quite clear. But check in with your breath. What's your breath like now? What about your overall energy, your heart, mind? See how the practice lands there. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands together at the center of heart. And if you'd like to end your practice this morning with a bow, go for it. Thank you guys so much for coming. Well done as always. Have a great day. Thanks, guys. Hope we have a good Monday. Thanks to everyone who's going to do this later. Let's see. We've got a little bit different schedule coming up soon with Christmas. Just make sure you check that out for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and New Year's too. My wall ropes class is this Sunday from 5:30 to 7. We're doing twists and side bends. There's still a few spots, so sign up if you're interested. It'll be really fun. See you guys soon. Bye.